All right. So I'm just gonna be working on this project for a little bit today, in a live stream. So hopefully you guys are interested in continuing on this project. I don't even remember where I left off, so I need to go and like log in as a student probably. And let's just go ahead and do that. I think we were working on finding classrooms, and then we added functionality of when you already joined the classroom, it'll take you to the actual classrooms page where you can see the assignments. Now there's some issues with like things showing up for the student that shouldn't be showing up for the student. So we need some type of like role-based access or flags to like hide or show things based on your role. So let's go to this page, classrooms. I have ID, so classrooms, and then I guess that would be, see if I can find that. I guess it's this one. Classrooms ID. There we go. And that loads up the classroom screen. And so what we're trying to do, let me make a to-do, is hide create assignments button when not a teacher who owns the classroom, I guess. And we can kind of do that for like all the different things that are on the page. So let's look at create an assignment. Where's create an assignment set up? At this point, it is probably create assignment modal. Cannot find, hold on, I got a little error here. Let's fix this real quick. Show assignment modal, use create assignments. I'll probably rename this one to that. All right, anyway, let's go to assignments and then let's look for create an assignment. So we have this button here, and this button should only show up if you are a teacher role and the classroom that you're looking at is the owner is a teacher, right? So if I were to go and let's say if we have the classroom. Why is this failing again? Oh, I renamed this one. Give me a second. This thing needs to be you know, I thought I refactored those things out of this file. Maybe I didn't. I might do that real quick. I know I'm jumping around, but I'm gonna go ahead and make a use classrooms hook. Use edit classroom. Just so there's less code in this code base. It's just, I got confused because there's too many functions. So let's export this, and then someone showed me a way to like auto import all the things. I don't know if I've done that before. I know there's a way to do it. Like just auto import all missing things. Because right now I have 2 things that are missing. And add all missing imports. Let's see if that works. Cool. I need to use that more often. It'll probably save me some time. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing for use edit classroom here. Oh, I just did that actually. So let me save that. And then use create assignment. Go ahead and import whatever I need to, like so. And then we can just get rid of some of this stuff. We hover over that and just do import all missing. All right, does this page still work? Seems like it does. Oh, by the way, someone added a cool little loader. Like, I don't know if you saw that when I went to the page. There's like a pink little loader that shows up at the top. So someone submitted a PR. I reviewed it and merged it in, and now I got that functionality. So that's pretty cool. have to go back and see what the name of the person who did that is because I've already forgotten, but it's always nice when people like add features to the thing you're working on. What is up, everyone? What is up? Yeah, Tina, I was like getting some stuff set up so I can go live. Because this code was in a broken place, so I wanted to make sure it's actually good before I start just going live and working on some bad code. Yeah, the repo, let me just post it. I mean, the repo's there for whoever wants to mess with it or play with it or contribute. So I'll post a link to the repo, and you're welcome to go through. Like I've been trying to do small commits, so if you go and look at the commits, you can actually see over time how it's kind of evolved. Although there's a bunch of stuff that I was prototyping with MVC, so maybe just like like this section where I'm actually like working on real stuff. You can go back and actually see like what did I change? How did stuff change? Yeah, the repo is on the link I just posted. It should be in chat, so look in chat. How to get good at something? You have to keep practicing. All right, let me drink some coffee real quick. All right, we're trying to hide this button. Okay, so how do we do that? Let's go to the classroom screen. And on this, let's just refresh our memory. What do we have access to? We have access to all the assignments, which is this. So we got the assignments data, and then we have the classroom data, right? Classroom query will have the classroom data, which is basically where we're getting the title from, and whatever else. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pass the entire classroom data, which is here. I'm going to pass that down into my assignments. So instead of passing classroom ID, like let's just pass the full on classroom. And I don't think this should show up. Hold on, let's see. I think that's fine. I'm going to pass in the classroom instead of classroom ID because we need more information now. So if I just change this TypeScript type to classroom, okay, did we fix that error? So the issue is classroom could potentially be null or undefined. So we have to kind of like set that up to use that. Let's see. Type classroom is not assignable to undefined or null. Null or undefined. I think I have to actually do that. I'm not a fan of, but whatever. So this thing could come in null potentially, and what we want to do is like, excuse me, if like nothing here, where were we using classroom ID before? All right, we were using classroom ID for the links before. So the issue is we can't like have these links show unless classroom.id is set, or else they're going to be going to like an undefined route. So in fact, the whole table, I don't know if we should just block the whole table or just block the links. Probably makes more sense to just block the links or disable them. Maybe we could just disable them so there's not like as much. I don't know if you can put disabled on links, to be honest. You probably can't. Why is this complaining? Oh yeah, it's just ID, not classroom ID. I mean, this is good for now. I mean, it might show the links and they might be broken at some point. Okay, let's just do this properly. I might change my mind. So if classroom is defined, then we could potentially show this whole thing. And then I think I could just do that. This thing is an array. Okay, I'll just put that in here. How about that? All right, let's do that. What am I doing? Let's move this down. Let's move this up. And then this thing has to be in like a fragment because I have multiple things. All right, I don't know. Hopefully, let's see if this works. So if I refresh the page and for some reason the classroom is taking a while to load, these links will just not show up, which is a better UX because before, if stuff loads really slow, which I hopefully get the point. But so what we're trying to do is like inside of this page, we want to hide this thing. If you're a student, or more specifically, if you're logged in as a teacher, if you're not logged in as a teacher who owns this classroom. So I think we have on the classroom data, we can say like has admin access. I'm going to make a derived that's going to say classroom user ID. If that is equal to the current user, which I'm going to pass in the current user ID in here as well. Like I don't want this thing coupled to React or Next auth. I just want to pass in the user ID. So in order to get that, we have to fetch the user ID, which is going to be from the session like so. So let's go ahead and pull in, I think I actually abstracted this to a lib. So I'm going to pull in the lib and we're going to pass in session dot data dot user. There we go. So assignments is also going to take in the user, which will be a user from the session, which I guess would come from where would that come from? Interface user declared next auth. I think it needs to come from this. But when I do that, does that Prisma client next auth? I think that'll do it. Anyway, so we have the user hopefully. And I'm gonna say if the classroom user ID, so the person who owns the classroom, if that is equal to the ID of the user we're logged in as, then we have admin access. And that's probably all we need to do. So at this point, we could just dynamically render this button if and only if you have admin access. Let's go back to the page. Let's watch it break because I'm sure I broke something. All right, so this is still not doing what we think it's supposed to do. And I guess the question is why? Why is this not working? So let's just add some debuggers. I'm going to say classroom and user. Let's see what prints out to our console. All right, so the user ID is BL8 and the classroom user ID is BL8. So how do these have the same user IDs? Did I set up some seed data wrong or something? Let me go back and run npx Prisma Studio. Because I wouldn't think the classroom itself would have the ID of the student. It should have been the ID of the teacher. I probably just set up some bad data. I really just need to go through and like probably create a brand new classroom and delete this one. Teacher and user ID. Yeah, it says the teacher is user Bob, student Bob. So, teacher Rick. I don't know. Let me I'm gonna start fresh. Let's just start fresh. So the way to do that is I could delete my SQL database, which is somewhere. Where's my SQL database? It's inside a source, should be in like server, DB. Where's my SQLite stuff? I've already forgotten where it is. It's in Prisma. Okay, Prisma. I think if I just delete this, okay, that'll clear out the entire database. And then if I say npx Prisma migrate dev, that'll rerun the migration and also reseed my database because I added that in. In the seeding of the database, if you look at here, I have a seed.ts. Let me restart Prisma Studio as well. So this is what happens when you first spin up the application. We basically will set up a student or a teacher called Rick with this ID and a student called Bob with this ID. All right, so that allows me to like actually use the app with some like fake users. But this classroom I deleted, I thought, so I don't know why we're getting data back. Did I not? This is probably just showing like cache data at this point. Hold up, why is it even showing data? I literally deleted the entire database. There's no classrooms here. There's only 2 users. But if you look at my page, Next is probably sending me back some type of cache, which I have my cache disabled. So why are we getting back some statically rendered page? I don't know. The more I use Next, the more I realize it just seems like it's just a very bad developer experience. Like I have to go and I have to restart my Next server for some reason because I deleted my database and it's just showing me a bunch of old cached pages, even though I have disabled cache here. So that's just kind of annoying. Let's log out and log back in as a teacher. So we're going to go ahead and just change as the teacher. And I'm going to restart my Next app. And don't worry about these secrets. I'll change them after the stream. It's not that big of a deal. So now we're logging in as teacher Rick. I'm going to go to classrooms. I'm going to go ahead and create one. I'm going to name one called JavaScript Classroom. And now I'm going to log back out and go to the student. Actually, let me check some. I'm going to go to the classroom real quick. Manage classroom. Let's just create one assignment called like loops. Looping iteration. How about that? And I don't know what the description should be. But now we have some things showing up. We do see the create an assignment button. But what I wanted to check is if I logged out as the teacher and go back as a student, does this button disappear? So let's just change this back to student. I really need to rethink this auth setup. I might just like, I don't know, change it somehow. But there we have it. The button doesn't show up for the student now. That's what we were trying to achieve. And I think we did it. And we can kind of do something similar with probably this whole column. All right, we could just not show edit if you are not the same admin role. So let's go back to the classroom screen. And I'm going to go to assignments. And where does that table show up? It shows up here. So for this link, we don't want to show it unless you're an admin role as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just wrap this whole thing like so. And now that edit button should not show up. And now this edit button should also not show up. So let's go to the title, which, where does that come from? This is higher up. So at this point, I'm starting to see a pattern where like this component and the parent component need to know if admin access is set up. So I might just do this. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to bring in, where's the session? Am I on the wrong page? Session. Okay, here it is, user. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to pass in has admin access to that. So instead of it having to know about the user, and I don't even know, does it need the classroom anymore? I don't think it does. So now we're kind of going full circle and refactoring back to what it used to be. But we're going to go ahead and just pass in a Boolean here instead of user. It's always good to make your components know the least amount of information that is possible. Right? If your subcomponent doesn't need to know about the full student, then don't pass it the full student. Just pass the individual things that it needs to be able to get its job done. Or then you start coupling stuff two together and stuff starts like violating the single responsibility rule. So has admin access, that's all it needs to know about. And then for classroom, like again, we don't need the full classroom. We just need the classroom ID. So I'm gonna refactor this back to what it was. I believe is a string. And that should basically allow us to do this. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that other check. All right, so edit's gone, edit's gone. Now we got to get rid of this one like I talked about. And we refactor this component to be a little bit more slim. Here's the edit button, which I don't know why I'm using a lowercase button here. I should probably have this be a link button. So maybe we can look into that as well. Has admin access, and I'm going to hide that button there. So if you're looking at this page as a student, there's stuff that's just hidden from you that you can't use. If you're looking at this page as a teacher, you get additional functionality that pops up. Now you could potentially have different URLs. But like if a student were to accidentally like type in the wrong URL or somehow get redirected to that admin URL, then they'd see like edit buttons everywhere. So it's probably better to just do what I'm doing right now. But it really depends on your business use cases. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and commit. I'm going to go ahead and just add everything and say, hiding the edit buttons. Actually, I'm going to swap that. I'm going to say only show admin buttons when logged in as a teacher who owns the classroom. Go ahead and just commit, sync it up. There you have it. People can go and look at that repo and get whatever they want. This one's kind of a smell. I should probably refactor that. All right, let's go back to chat. I Hate Sun says, would be good to have a community project. This is actually a community project that started from my community. People were really hyped about it for one day, and then everyone disappeared from working on the project. So I'm not really interested in hosting a community project. This is more of I'm working on something. You are welcome to contribute, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to like organize anything. Either fork it. You can fork this project. You can make a PR yourself if you're so inclined to do so. Like fork the project by going here, make pull requests, get them merged. I'll merge them in and review them. But that's the most I'm doing. If you want like some direction of what to work on, I can give you that. But what happens is people ask for stuff to work on and then they disappear. So it's just too much extra work to kind of organize that stuff. Okay, thank you so much for all your JavaScript coding snippets. Made my life a little simpler. Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you guys enjoyed them. Do you suggest me use React or Svelte? If I have a code base in Svelte, do I need to rewrite it in React? I don't. What's the context of this? If you're trying to look for a job, what you need to do is go to like Glassdoor or Indeed and look at your region and see what are people hiring the most for, because they might be hiring the most for Angular where you live. So it might be better to figure out what are the jobs in your area and get good at that. Because I guarantee you, there's probably not going to be many Svelte jobs around where you live. React is still like the de facto standard for building web apps, followed by Angular, and then you have Vue, and then Svelte is like, Svelte's the newest one, right? So there's not many companies who are adopting it right now. And it's still like, I don't know. Yeah, just do what I suggested though. But yeah, I wouldn't rewrite your code base. Like if this is a side project, just keep having fun and learning about Svelte if it's a code base that you own. Teacher and student have the same ID. Yeah, I think we fixed that. I just cleared the entire database. Is Svelte can work with npm packages? Yeah, I think Svelte works with JavaScript packages just fine. I mean, you can't import like a React package in Svelte and expect it to work, but you can import like Lodash or whatever else. How do you add React project in my portfolio? I don't know what that means. First, check what you need if you can't find stuff in Svelte. Yeah, so I had like a bunch of cache pages. I had to restart Next to clear out my cache, basically. It wasn't the, I don't think it was the tRPC use query state variables. I think it was this. Like Next, when you load Next and you hit a page, it creates a static snapshot of your page, I guess, and it stores that in a file. So even if I delete all my data from my database, it's still showing me a snapshot for some reason. And it wasn't like refreshing it, I think. It could have been React Query, but I think it would have done the stall while, or was it stale while validate? Like it would have fetched the newest version of my data and then like displayed it. I don't really know, but we got it fixed. Yeah, Svelte is really nice. It's just really, is terse the right word? Definition. Is terse the... concise might be a better word. As you can tell, my English isn't good. How do I mean you link React project and portfolio made in PHP? I still don't really understand your question. I'm sorry. Like, how do you put a link on your page? You just put an A tag. You put a hyperlink here. And then you put like my React app. Is that what you're asking? How do you make an A tag on your PHP page? All right, what do I want to work on next? Prisma is an ORM. So like, let me show you real quick. All right, so Prisma, it's basically a way to define your tables in your SQL database. Like you have to know about SQL, and typically in SQL you create tables, and those tables have relationships with each other. So Prisma allows you to create your tables using something called models, and those models can have relationships to other models, right? So like, for example, a classroom can have multiple assignments. So if you look here, we have a classroom has an array of assignments. And if you go down and look at the assignments model, assignments belong to a classroom. All right, so you basically type all this stuff up and you run a command and it creates a bunch of what we call migration scripts that tell your SQL database to create a table with certain fields, with certain attributes, with certain like requirements. I guess they're called constraints. And that'll just apply it to your database, and then you can actually start storing data that looks like this into your database. All right, so if you look at the user router, like, excuse me, let me look at the assignments router. Do I have an assignment? Okay, maybe it's called a classroom router. There should be one called create. So here we are doing Prisma classroom.create, and we can pass it some data, right? So that's going to basically take the data and just store it using Prisma into your database. Okay, let's see what else we need to like kind of work on. So as a student, if I view my assignment, so let's say a teacher uploaded an assignment, if I view it, it takes us to a page that just shows an ID, which is not really good. So what we want to do is probably have an assignment page, which I guess I started working on, but I never actually finished. So let's go find that file, which I believe would be Let me close some of this stuff. Pages, classrooms, assignments. Here. All right, so we got the, this is named wrong. Classroom, assignment, page. Let me rename that, make sure it's proper. So from the URL, we grab the classroom ID and the assignment ID, which you can see here. And then we show an assignment screen, which looks like this. So very ugly, but can work on that. Let's open up the classroom screen for like a reference, which I believe is this one. And let's see if we can follow a similar approach where I'm starting to see like a pattern. All the screens seem to have the same like container. So like maybe what we should do, this header layout, I kind of wonder if maybe this thing should just have a lot of that repetitive code here. It's like this should have the container. I'm not too sure. I guess it doesn't hurt to just try it and see like if it's too abstract and now everything just bad. So this is basically allowing it to automatically be centered here, because without that, if I undo that and save it, you'll see that it's like all the way to the left of the page. That's not the style I'm going for. I want every page to be kind of like in a container centered. Okay, so then I don't have to go and like do that in all my pages, which we'll come back and we can delete that. I guess that's fine. But let me put this on a new line. Will it let me? No. All right, what else do we need to do? Assignment. Maybe we should like, I'll just do this for right now. Just adding the title to the header so it says like assignment CL whatever. That'll just help me with my debugging, so it's easier to like read the first couple letters here than parsing through here. All right, what else do we need to do? Anyway, so we're here, we have the classroom ID and the assignment ID. So we should probably fetch that data from tRPC, which we do in the classroom screen, I believe. So I mean, we could just follow a very similar approach where we get the classroom and maybe get the assignment like so. So let's just auto import that. Actually, I don't know if we even need the classroom. We might. I'll comment it out for now. Let's just focus on one thing at a time. So using the assignment ID that's passed in via props from the URL. Remember, this thing is passed in here. And then we have access to it in props because we did it in the page itself. We need to use that and get the assignment based on ID. So I don't think we have an assignment endpoint. Like we have get assignments, but we don't have get assignment, I don't think. So I'm gonna make a new query here. It's called get assignment. That takes in an assignment ID. And then we're gonna basically find unique where assignment ID is equal to that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just rename that some. What is this complaining about? Oh, this is just ID. All right, so this thing should be we should get some data back now, and I guess what I'm trying to do is like, I don't know if I should do an H1 here or not, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do data dot name and see what happens. Does this show up? All right, looping and iteration. Maybe the ID is important too. So assignment ID, or I'll just say assignment like this. Assignment number. Oh dang, that doesn't help. Okay, never mind. Anyway, so what I'm trying to do is just display some like information about the assignment, and then we should probably have like the description displayed as well, like so. We probably don't want two H1s, so I'll change that to a paragraph. Change this to maybe a section. And what else do we want to do here? I mean, obviously, like the text of this is pretty small, so like we increase a little bit. I guess the text of this is fine for the paragraph. Yeah. I can kind of go back and forth between assignments. I didn't really do too much. I'm just like displaying the information about the assignment. So I'm trying to think like what does a student need to do with an assignment? They have to read through and understand the prompt. There might be some assignment materials, so like PDFs or documents that they need to download and read that are related to the assignment. Additional study resources, maybe videos that they can watch. Go back to the chat real quick while I think. Yeah, the code's all available. It's in if you scroll up in the chat, it should still be up here. It's like one of these links here. It's a work in progress, so I'm just kind of doing stuff as I do stuff. Not like super awesome yet, but I mean, I wouldn't say Angular is not popular. I know projects that use Angular and companies that use Angular. So I don't know if it's worth saying it's not popular. I just don't think a lot of people on YouTube do Angular because it's not like, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's a pretty good framework. What do you think about MobX? Is it easier to use in Redux? I think so. I haven't used MobX. I've looked through the code and looked through the examples. It seems like it's pretty straightforward. You make a class. That class has some state and some methods, and just kind of modify that instance of your class how you want. Seems much simpler than Redux in my opinion, but have I tried Django? Yeah, I tried Django a little bit. I don't know what DRF is. That Django REST framework, maybe? You think you really exist? I don't know if I really exist. This is a simulation. Do you recommend T3 for big projects? I don't know. I haven't used it on a big project before. I mean, it seems so far, it seems like it's working okay. You just need to basically find ways to abstract, maybe abstract things away and make it more clean architecture. Like, so like a larger team and larger stuff could like keep it manageable. Because I don't know if adding all those methods to like a single file is manageable, but that's just me. I haven't actually taken the time to find ways to like make it more elegant, I guess. How do you do the color margins? I have something called rainbow indent. Yes, TypeScript is much easier to learn than C in JavaScript. They kind of prove this point. Go to C and make a string. Like make a dynamic string and like append stuff to it. I don't think it's, I think you have to end up dealing with the like actual arrays and like stuff like that. At least last time I used C back in college. There's a lot of extra stuff you have to do with like memory management in C that you don't have to worry about with dynamic languages. TSX is TypeScript. So .ts is TypeScript. .tsx would be like JSX. You know what JSX is? It's just a TypeScript version of JSX. Randy says, how long can you keep this up for? Are you, I'm not sure what you're asking. Like me making videos or that question is. Let's see. Uh, yeah, I mean, Python's pretty good. If you know nothing about coding, it doesn't really matter what you start with. Like, you just need to learn how to code. That's the first step. And then once you get good at a language, you can switch over to something else, I think. But if you want to become a web developer, you should probably start with JavaScript and not Python. If you want to be like a data science, maybe you could do Python. Um, yeah, that's my biggest issue with Next is that like it doesn't really have a lot of support for like deploying. You're kind of locked in the Vercel if you wanted to deploy it the correct way. There is a serverless Next package that you can use to deploy Next.js to Amazon, and it'll basically set up your cloud formation. It'll set up CloudFront and like deploy all your stuff to Lambda Edge. These are all the features that they have support for, but they don't have Next.js features. Our next 12 features. I guess they're still working on that, but if you can like kind of look through here and you can deploy this all yourself to your own Amazon environment, if you don't want to be vendor locked into Vercel, or you could just host your own like DigitalOcean VM and just run your Next app there, I would say. Like you won't get the benefits for edge deployments, but honestly, who cares? Like it'll still run perfectly fine. The best way to practice friend skills would probably be cloning a project and or like trying to clone a project, like clone Discord or clone like the look and feel of Facebook or clone the look and feel of Instagram. Um, I think there's a site that has a bunch of like front end practice pages you can kind of replicate, but anyway, let's go back to actual coding. I had to remember not to clear my throat into the microphone, so sorry if that was loud. So maybe as a student, when you first log in, you should see like a special student dashboard or something, so you know what classrooms like you're part of. So we could try to work on that. I mean, I have like the name and the description displayed for the assignments, but it's like as you first log in. Let me go to the header too. Where does workflow? Is that an image? This is just some like default stuff I grabbed from the Tailwind components, I believe. So like if I go to logo, I don't even know what the name of this application should be, so I'm just going to call it WDJ Classroom. And this could be a link. Like we'll do a next link here. And we'll give it an href of slash. So now you can actually click this and go to your dashboard. Okay, so as a student, if you go to your dashboard, which would be pages, this index file, I guess. I'm trying to think. Would it make more sense to go to /dashboard? Probably. All right, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Let's just go to a dashboard page. We'll figure that out. So let's go ahead and rename this the dashboard page. I do an F2. I always forget there's like the F2 ability. But we'll do that, and then we'll go ahead and do a we got the header here. Is that what we do on other pages? It's called a header layout. So let me go ahead and pull in the header layout like so. And then we're going to go ahead and pull in a dashboard screen like so. All this stuff, we should clean this up at some point, but probably fine. Let's go back to screens and let's go to find dashboard. Make a dashboard folder, and then in here we'll say dashboard screen.tsx, and then just go ahead and make a dashboard screen. I want to make sure this shows up, so let's just auto import this and auto import that. And now if I go to my dashboard page, we see dashboard screen. So it's all tied up, or it's all tied together now. Had some errors. Let me refresh to make sure those goes away. All right, so again, like when you log in as a student and you don't have any classrooms that you've enrolled in, you should kind of show them like maybe something that tells them how to do that. So we actually have other pages that kind of do that with, if I go to like my classroom screen, we have this empty state thing. I'm going to paste that in. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go ahead and find is there another page where we already get the classrooms for the student? I don't even remember. Let's go to the classrooms router. And I'm actually going to kind of make a new router because I think I'm putting too many things in the same classroom router. I'm going to go ahead and make a student. Wait, do I have a user router? I'll just say student router, whatever. And then we're going to go ahead and just copy this. I'm going to go ahead and just make a student and a student router like so. And now I could do student dot get classrooms or something. And that's kind of like what I'm going for. Like so, make sure that's auto imported. It is. Make sure you're authenticated. I'll say get classrooms. And what this needs to do is, I don't know. What does it need to do? So if I were to hit this endpoint and I'm authenticated, I need to get back all the classrooms that I am enrolled in. Which, when you enroll in a classroom, user.classrooms, user.enrolled in. Yeah, so I just find the user ID, where the ID was, what your session was set up as, include enrolled in. And really, like, we don't need to get back. Yeah, I don't know if this is the best way to do it, but honestly, what we could do is just return enrolled in. So that'd be an array of classrooms, I believe. All right, so I probably lost you all. What I'm trying to do is add a new endpoint that the front end can hit to get all the classrooms that they're enrolled in. That's it. And that's what we did here. It's an endpoint that gets the user model, includes all their enrolled in classrooms, and just returns that array of enrolled in entries. So then going back to the dashboard screen, this is all messed up. So let's go ahead and see if we can kind of like follow an approach of another screen. So, and I'm going to go ahead and say classrooms query. I'm going to name it more specifically to enrolled classrooms query. And we're going to import that. And that's going to be that it's going to hit that new endpoint we just added, which was student dot get classrooms. That doesn't even need any type of arguments, I believe. And now we should have all the classrooms here. So if I say const classrooms is equal to this dot data, and then is loading could be like that. Technically, we could just do array destructuring here. Maybe that would be a little bit cleaner, like so. Empty state classrooms. So let's look at this file. I'm going to go ahead and just put an empty state dashboard. Like if the student has no classrooms, and we'll copy and paste it for now, but we'll try to find some repetitive code and dry it away probably. This thing doesn't need to open a modal. And then we have classroom list, which I'm not sure what approach you want to take for that. I'll just say enrolled list like that, and I'll say enrolled list. And for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and print out like a div that has the classroom dot name. How about that? Make sure you always add keys to your things. I don't need a button that says create a classroom. I don't need the classroom modal. Don't need a button. All right, so it's a little bit, it's just a really basic component, but the idea is that on the dashboard, I want to display that. Empty state dashboard is missing something. Why is that? What's it missing? Oh. Open classroom modal is not defined. Empty state dashboard. All right, so here's the empty state. Basically, if you're not enrolled in a classroom, it's going to say this. You have no classrooms yet. Instead of saying create a classroom, I'm actually going to say browse for classrooms. And this is going to be a next link like this, which with an href that goes to whatever the search page was, which I don't even remember at this point. It's called browse classrooms. Browse classrooms. So now when they first log in and they don't have any classrooms, they can click browse for classrooms, and that'll take you to a page that has like filters and searches and drop downs and stuff. So we could probably make this a button that looks like a link or something, or maybe we should keep it consistent and actually make it a button. So I'm changing my mind about what I just changed. So I'm going to go ahead and just make it a button. But I believe I can just wrap the entire thing in a next link with an href. I don't know. Don't know if that's proper, but I can say color is primary. It's probably more correct to have this be a link and not a button. How does the next link even work? Because if you look at the DOM, like just like a higher order component at this point, because there's no link anywhere, right? It's just a button. So if you hover over it, you don't know what page it's going to take you to. So I think instead, I think it'd be better to like not do that. Technically, I could just use the same Daisy UI button class stuff. Let me try this. I'm going to try something else. So if I keep it a link, I'll hover over it, I actually get a link. That's proper in terms of like accessibility, I think. Right? But it doesn't look nice. So I'd have to basically, I think I can give it a class name here. Maybe not. I thought I'm using Daisy UI. I am. So I should have access to buttons. So I don't know. Someone can correct me. I haven't checked chat in a while, so I'm probably doing something wrong. I think it could just be button here, isn't it? Oh, it's just BTN. Okay, duh. BTN primary. All right, there we go. So it's a link. Wait, did they change the DOM element? Yeah, I can't even tab to it now. Okay, this sucks. Yo, I can't even, hold on. What am I doing wrong here? I guess this should be an A tag. There we go. There, now I can tap to it. I can hit enter and go back. All right, that's better for accessibility. I guess the question is, where do we put the class name? Should it be on the A tag? Probably. And this thing should probably be centered and maybe have some type of fixed width. So like if I go here and just give this a width of 1/3 and then give this like a item center, I think that's what it is. And then MX auto, that should center that thing. And then maybe some padding. I think what we need to do is in the header layout, like this stuff should have some margin top of 8 or something. So every page has a little bit of margin up here. All right, so now I can browse for classrooms. All right, back to chat. Yeah, wrap button with a tag with href and then a link. Yeah, I think this is what I need to do. I should have checked chat earlier, which is I think what I ended up doing. The link that has an a ref in it. I guess I'm not really sure how next how next links work because like when you render it out, it's gone. Like I don't know if it's adding like some type of click listener to your DOM element. Because like when this was a button, like notice that this button doesn't have any extra things on it. So it's like, how does Next add functionality so when you click this, it knows to go to a new page? They probably just have like a higher order component that is adding a click listener to whatever component you have if it's not a link and then doing something. But if you do an A tag, that's when they actually pass down, I guess, the prop for href into your component. Using like a forward ref maybe? I don't know. Kind of interesting. Bishin, Batel, I've been doing well. How have you been doing? What are you using for the page progress bar? I don't know. Someone added that to my project. I have to go and look at how they did it. It's called Next in Progress. So this one right here, Next.js progress bar, That is what the person added to my repo. I think he imported it and he did this. That's about it, and it just kind of works. That's pretty cool. Yeah, find unique, I believe, just returns one thing. Or it returns null if it can't find anything, I believe. What is the database for T3 stack? Yeah, there is no deep database. You pick what you want. It can come with Prisma, which is an ORM, and then you can choose what database you want. So you can use Mongo, SQLite, Postgres, whatever. But like Nath said, we don't prescribe a database solution for T3. Oh yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised I got 50,000 subs. Like I was not expecting my channel to blow up as fast as it did over the last month. But I finally made it to 50,000. What payment API should I use? I use Stripe on my side projects. I never actually used Stripe in prod though, so I don't know if it actually works well in prod. I'm assuming it does because everyone uses it. And I think I'm kind of caught up. I skipped over some stuff, but I have a question. Do you think knowledge about network and operating systems is necessary for web dev? Is it important? Network. I don't think operating systems would be that important. For networking, I don't know, maybe like know the basics of DNS. And like I don't know. You like have to know a little bit about networking, but for the most part it's like no, not really. Anyway. Ivan, my friend, I'm going to have to ban you if you curse again. I believe I saw you curse up here as well. You know, I'll just ban you now. How about that? Put you in a timeout. How have you been doing? I think I'm caught up in this. No, I mean you can use Mongoose with the stack. If you look at the T3 stack, when you create the project, it asks you what you want, right? It asks you if you want to use Prisma. It asks you if you want to use Next.auth, I believe. And you can opt in or opt out of what you want or don't want. My kid's at the door right now. Hey, Emma, go to go. Go to go. Kid's trying to open the door, but I locked it. All right, let's go back to... What do I want to do? All right, so if you browse for classrooms now, I guess it takes you to that view classroom page. You can go here and you can enroll in a classroom, which should have redirected me probably to the classroom after I enrolled, or it should have at least hid the button. Hold on a second. All right, I'm back again. So I clicked the enroll button and it didn't redirect me back to this page, so it probably should. So how do we do that? Let's go back and find where that enroll button is, which I guess it's here. And when you click on enroll, it calls handle enroll. That calls a mutate async, and then we should probably say like router.push, and we should go back to where should we go? It might be a weird user experience to like just refresh their page, but I'm just going to go to the classroom ID here. And we can kind of fix and rethink the user experience later. Let's wait on that. And we're going to try that again. So I'm going to go to my user Bob, student Bob. Okay, I'm enrolled in this one. So let me delete. How do I delete this? Oh, you just uncheck it, don't you? All right, let's try it again. So we're here. We have an enroll button. If I click it, it redirects me back to the classroom that I'm now enrolled in. You can see the assignments. What else could you potentially see? Go back to my dashboard. Maybe it's not really intuitive that you have classrooms. Like maybe I should say like a link at the top that says your classrooms. Oh, it's called find a classroom. I'm not sure where I have that defined. Find a classroom. Oh, do I have advanced? Okay. Find a classroom. Let me turn off my capital search. And that should be here. So if you're a student, let's just add one called classrooms or your classrooms. How about that? Your classrooms. And I will go to your dashboard. There. So I should be enrolled in this one. And that's kind of a janky experience where it first takes you to overview and then it redirects you back. I might need to rethink that. But yeah, maybe we should just do cards here. I don't know. Enrolled list. Let's go here. Let's find where we do classroom card. We could just reuse this, I guess. Like we're not shooting for the best user experience. So instead, I will just go ahead and render out some classroom cards, and this thing takes in something. What else does this thing need? It needs a classroom. There. So it's like the same style as all the other pages, but like maybe as a student, you're going to need different information. Like you could have an alert here that says like, hey, your assignment's coming up soon, like a due date for an assignment. But right now I'm just going to reuse the same classroom card on that we're using like everywhere. But if I click manage classroom, yeah, so here's, okay, I'm not going to reuse that actually. I'm going to go to classroom card and I'm going to actually just copy this here and it's going to be called like enrolled card. Because I can already see that there's going to be some type of like main difference between what a teacher sees on a classroom card and what a student sees in their enrolled card. So I'm just going to go ahead and like not do that. And I'm going to call it enrolled card. Go ahead and change that. Go ahead and import that. And the difference is it's not going to say manage classroom. It's going to say view. All right, so the idea is like you'd have actual like information. So at a glance, you could see like, hey, I have an assignment due soon on, what's today's date? September 28th. Now you could do something like that, and then you could also have like a link here. If you wanted a better user experience, where someone could actually like, what's it called? Text blue 400. How about that? Or I'm just kind of prototyping and playing around, but like, let's say you log into your app and you see that, oh crap, I have something due on the 28th. I can just go ahead and click on this, and it'll take you straight to it. Otherwise, you can just go to the classroom and like view the information about it. And what page does the view take you to? It takes you straight to the classroom ID. Okay. I do think the gray of the background, like when you hover over the table like that, it's not really useful. So let me go to, was it global? I don't even know where the background color is getting applied to my stuff. Is that my index? My document. There. I'm just gonna make it less gray because like the hover state of the row is kind of weird. In fact, I don't know if I even like the hover state of the row. Is there a way to turn that off? But I am noticing that there's no like header here. So maybe I should go to where we're doing that enroll list and look at one second. Classroom screen. We should have a table here somewhere, which is here, assignments. And this one should be a table. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else we should do. I should probably commit, honestly. I have 17 file changes. That's quite a lot. So we should probably commit what we have. And the thing that we mainly worked on was like working on the student dashboard page. I'll add everything. I think we did a couple of other things, but for the most part, that's like the gist of what this commit was. I'll just go ahead and sync that up. Oh yeah, that's a good. It's yeah, either remove it or just like. Yeah, I could think about doing that. There's a lot of things we have to do on that find a classroom page anyway. Like we have to add filters and something. Peter, I'm just doing Command Shift F4, which is like my screenshot. So I just do that and I can kind of highlight the things that I want with my screenshot, and I press escape to make it go away. One second, I'm gonna go to my channel on my phone real quick. How long have I been streaming for? An hour and 15 minutes. All right. What are the main features of this classroom app? I don't really know. I'm just kind of adding stuff as I think about ideas, and I haven't really been planning much of anything. But you just imagine it's just like an online classroom where you have assignments and you can upload. So as a teacher, let's switch gears. Let's go to the teacher role. And I'm gonna go ahead and change this to teacher, and I'm gonna go back and restart my app. And as a teacher, I should be able to see all my students in my classroom. So if I go to my classrooms here and I want to manage a classroom, I should see all the students enrolled and be able to like do stuff with those students, I think. let's do a very similar approach. So if I go to the classroom screen, classroom get assignments, I'm going to do another query called classroom dot get students. And this could be a students query. And I want to get all the students that's in a classroom. So I'm going to go to my classroom router, and I don't have a get students query. So let's just go ahead and add one like that. And then let's just go ahead and copy this one. All right. So we want to get all of the assignments, or sorry, all the students who are part of this classroom, which I don't really remember how to do that. So let's figure that out. We need probably use a find unique, get the classroom like this, but then we could probably include student like this. So we'll get the students who are in the classroom, and we're going to go ahead and just return the students here. And now from the front end, like we could just go ahead and get the students and display them somewhere. Where do we want to display them? For right now, I'll just do it like right underneath, but I'm trying to figure out like what is a use case? Why would I want to see my students? Maybe so I can click on one and send them a message, or click on one and see what the assignments that they uploaded. I don't really know. I've never been a teacher before, so I don't know what the real use case would be, but I'm assuming they want to see all the students who are in their classroom at some point. So I'll just put it underneath. Keep it simple and just put it underneath. And or maybe we could do it side by side, or we could do some tabs. That might be pretty cool. Add some tabs. But for right now, yeah, let's just go ahead and copy this whole thing. And now that I think about it, like it might make more sense to just have like a students section. Just do that. Do this. And I'm going to go ahead and copy all this. And we're going to try to do this a different way. I'm going to basically render out student section. Well, I don't know why I have this in a div. I can just do this. Student section. So for the student section, I'm gonna try something a little bit different. I'm gonna try putting the query for the student section directly here, and just import the things that are missing. So let's do that. So we'll do data, and then we'll do, this one doesn't need to do anything. No students. All right, let me just import this one again. All right, so I'm gonna say no students. This doesn't need to do anything. Like there should be no buttons. Actually, let's pretend there's one that says send invite. Like you want to email a student an invite who wants to join your classroom, you could maybe do that. Why is this complaining? I'm not going to export this yet. Complaining about, oh, I need to delete this. And then delete that. And then you have no students yet. No students enrolled. Enrolled yet. How about that? Keep the naming consistent throughout the app. So you load the students in the classroom. If you don't get any back, we're going to display no students with a button that says send email invite. Pretty cool. And then if we do get students, we can just display them. So I'll just go ahead and like copy this whole thing. Paste that in here. And this thing could just be kind of refactored down a little bit. So what does this thing need? We don't need admin access yet. We probably don't need classroom IDs. We don't need, we probably need students, and we don't need that. So let's keep it basic. What does this component actually need? It just needs students, like so. And this could be a student, or this could be a user, I guess. Let's make sure we, oops, do this. Make sure you import the right Prisma user. Students. I'm just doing some quick like refactoring. All right, we don't need is admin access just yet. We're gonna loop over every student like this, and we are going to play the name. What other stuff do we have on a student? We have name, email. I don't know if we want this display the email yet. Let's do this, name, email, and an ID, which will just be the index. And then actions. We don't need that just yet. Oh, we'll keep it. We'll keep actions. Has admin access. Let's delete this. This could be students of student.id. Like so. In case you wanted to actually go and view a student for some reason. I don't really know what that would mean, but all right, let's just made a lot of changes. Let's just see if we can actually like get this to display. Let's do that. Do that. Let's do destructuring here. I mean, maybe we should just go ahead and pull this out as well, since this is how we're doing it other places, and it's good to keep your stuff kind of consistent. Let's just go ahead and do this, export it, and then also bring the stuff in and delete the stuff we don't need. There we go. So all that for basically having a page show a table of the students, which is just stuck at loading for right now. I think it is failing. Classroom.get students. So my backend is crashing about something. Don't know what. Let's just do a hard restart. And we'll refresh this page. Okay, let's go to that new classroom. What's this complaining about? Student section. It'd probably help if I would actually like pass in the right thing. Like this. I don't know why we even pass in classroom ID. It's so we can get the correct students. And this thing can go away. There we go. So we got two tables now. One student enrolled. Let's go back and fix that real quick. Where are we displaying that? I guess it'd be here. So this view doesn't actually do anything. It probably takes us to a broken page. Yeah, maybe it'd be cool to show a grade too. As a teacher, does that matter? Do you want to know what students are like failing your class? Probably. I don't know. But let's just put like a 65% D. This guy is failing hardcore in JavaScript. So I will say this index I'm rendering out here is not going to be a good approach, because at some point you might want to add the ability to sort this table by column headers. And then if you do that, this index is going to get all out of whack, because it's never good to have your index being, well, I guess it doesn't matter, because this isn't really a student number. This is just like I could put the ID here. I don't know how useful that would be for a teacher to see this long string of like characters for an ID. But it might be confusing if this number changes as you sort. Same with assignment number. I believe if I were to sort this table, like assignment ID could get all messed up. So maybe what we want to do is like when you create the assignment, auto increment an ID on that starts at 1. Shift Alt O, that removes unused imports. Hold up a second. You might have just changed my life. So I'm gonna import button from Daisy UI, Alt Shift O. Shift Alt O does not remove unused imports. VS Code remove unused imports. Option Shift O. Wow. Mustafa, you have saved my life right now. I did not know you could just do that with a command click. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that suggestion. I'm telling you, you learn stuff every day, like with coding. You learn new shortcuts, you learn new pieces of technology, you learn better ways to do things. And the more you expose yourself to other people who code, the faster you'll learn, because they're going to teach you new stuff all the time. Is Python a good choice for new? Yeah, I think Python's good. It's a good way to learn how to do like the fundamentals of programming. How do you determine the flow of your application in more complex applications? Do you just try a bunch of things until it works? When you say flow, do you mean like the user flow? Honestly, it depends. If you have a team of like user experience, like coworkers who understand like the users and their needs, you can kind of set up the flow beforehand to know like what works. But in my situation, I'm just doing a side project and I'm pretending like I'm a teacher and like what would I want as a teacher. But the best way to create the best experience is you need to actually have teachers. Like you need to go to find content creators who want to make like online classrooms, or find like high school teachers and give them a prototype and say like, hey, does this work? And then they're going to give you feedback and you're going to redesign your flow based on their feedback, right? That's like the whole idea of agile development, is like you're building something for a real user and you're getting that feedback every week or every 2 weeks from those users as you deliver features. And they're going to tell you that, hey, like these two things being on the same page is just pointless. I'd rather it be in tabs or something. You'll get that feedback. And for the most part, it's just better just to get the functionality out the door so they can actually start doing stuff, and then come back through and redesign what works best for their needs. At least that's what I've seen. But yeah, I like to just try things out and then just refactor. So like the main takeaway is make sure your code is set up in a way that it's easy to refactor and delete stuff and remove stuff around, because you're going to find out that what you're adding in is just not good and you're going to have to change it like constantly. Especially stuff in the UI. Stuff in the backend might be more consistent and not change as much, but where something is positioned, how something's positioned, where is it displayed? Is it in a certain URL? Is it like a modal that pops up? Is it a brand new page? These are things that like you need to be able to quickly refactor. Like the stuff that's in this, I should be able to copy and paste this into a new page and not have it show up in a modal. And that's how you know that you've set up your system in a good way that can easily be refactored. I generally use a closure counter for rendered numbered lists. A closure counter. Let me try to think about what you mean by that, but it sounds like a good idea. I guess you'd have to really have a good reason as to why the projects were bad. Like if you can explain to people why like you kept switching projects, because 6 months is not a long time to be on a software project. I'll be honest with you. 6 months is like you're going to spend the first 2 months or 3 months just getting up to speed and understanding their technologies, understanding their business practices, understanding their business use cases. And then after 3 months of that, you actually start adding features and fixing bugs and then you quit. So I don't know. It's a red flag to me, but if they were really bad and like you're dealing with people who are just mean, like let's say you have mean managers or you have deadlines that are literally impossible to reach, then I think that's more like justifiable where you can say like I had to quit that job because it's like it was toxic. If it was a toxic work environment, I think you have a better argument as to why you wanted to leave. But if it's just if you say it was bad because you just have to work on Java, I don't think that's a good reason. Like, but I don't really know your situation. But it looks like you've jumped from 4 jobs every 6 months. So I would never want to do with plain CSS. What are we doing? We are adding a classroom table. What time is it? So I guess if you're not enrolled, as a student, you might want to be able to unenroll in a classroom. Like just leave. Like I don't want to be in this classroom anymore. I'm just going to leave. So maybe we could do that. We can go and log in as a student now. And again, I'm just trying stuff out and seeing if it works. But I'm going to commit what I have, displaying enrolled students for teacher classroom page. Let me commit and sync up. But as a student, if I'm on a classroom, let me find the enroll button because we're going to be doing something very similar to like, what page is that on? This one. So if I'm on the classroom page, I think it's called classroom screen. And where's that admin access stuff? Is that even here? Is admin. Okay, so if you don't have admin access, we should show a button that says like unenroll, probably. Now, where does that need to show up? I don't know. Let's go here. Let's view our classroom. And I'm going to put it. Yeah, that might be an issue. I don't think other students should be able to see the grades of other students. We might have to go and fix that. But it'd be cool to actually see who else is enrolled in the class and like be able to message them. But I'm going to go ahead and put underneath this div. I think I'll put it here. I'm going to go ahead and put a unenroll like that. Is that how you spell unenroll? Okay, what is Daisy UI? What are the button classes that you can use? There's warning and there's error. Let's do it red. Now, I don't think this should even be a button, honestly. Like, this should be a link. It should be a link that looks like a button. Whatever. It doesn't really matter at this point. Basically, when you click on this button, I'm just going to go ahead and say, like, on click, handle unenroll. And we're going to call a function up here like this. That is going to, I don't know if prompt, I'm just going to say like this right now. If confirm, are you sure you want to unenroll? Obviously, you should probably have a real modal here and not like some alert confirm. But when you click on this button, in fact, I only want to show this if you don't have admin access and you're a student. So I could just go ahead and say session.data.user.role. Oh, I don't know where role. I guess role is not defined for some reason. It should be. So if you have a role equal to student, then I will show that button. But so that this doesn't show up for teachers. I'm going to do that. This could be cleaned up as well. I'm just going to call this like is student. And I'll just say const is student is equal to that. How about that? But anyway, what I'm trying to do is like I want to call a mutation to unenroll. So I think we have one for enrolling somewhere, but I'm going to go ahead and just make another one called like const enroll unenroll mutation. Use mutation. That's going to call a classroom.unenroll and probably pass a classroom ID like so. All right, so we want to call this. I'm going to wait on it, mutate async. I think I'm doing it wrong. I think I actually just want to pass this like that and then call unenroll, put an async here. And then if you've done that, I'm going to say router.push, go back to your dashboard. How about that? And then the router could come in through const router is equal to use router. Bring that in from next router. All right, so far as that makes sense, we don't have this mutation endpoint called classroom unenroll. So I'm gonna go to the classroom router and then I'm gonna find where I do enroll and just go ahead and duplicate this and call it unenroll. And we're gonna find the user that you're logged in with and we're gonna delete. Well, you don't want to delete, you want to disconnect. I don't know how you disconnect. Is it just called disconnect? It is just disconnect. Okay, so let's just try that. I'm going to go ahead and just use a disconnect here, and that should kind of take that user off of the classroom. I don't know what the side effects of this might be. Like there might be some more stuff we have to clean up data side and like kind of delete records if they're no longer associated with that. But for the most part, I'm hoping that this will just work. All right, so if I press this, show you the prompt, are you sure you want to unenroll? Should say yes. Should redirect me back to my dashboard. I no longer have any classrooms. And now if I go back and log in as that teacher, which I'll do this. And I go and I manage my classrooms, I should see no more students anymore. And now like I have a button that says send an email invite. That's pretty cool. I don't like how there's it's just there's too much going on. I think we should do tabs, and I don't know if Tailwind's UI gives us tabs. React Daisy UI. I'm gonna add this one last feature, and then I'm gonna probably end the stream. But does this have a tabs? It does. So let's just go ahead and pull this in. And we want to go to the classroom screen where we have this stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and just paste in the tabs. like so. And then value 0 and 1, how does this work? I don't know how this works, but we'll just try it out. I haven't used this before. Headless UI, no, I want Daisy UI tabs. All right, so inside of tab 1, we are going to put one component. Inside of tab 2, we're going to put another component. So I'm going to go ahead and put this whole thing here in tab 0 and put this whole thing here in tab 1. And then how do we name these things? Oh, hold on, I can't do it that way. Let me undo. I will say assignments and students. Now somehow there's a way to say on change. Here we go. I could say on change is equal to, I don't know what we get in here. Do we get like a value? I'll just say like set tab. And this could be tab. Value 0, 1, 2, value. All right, what I'm trying to do here is just like bring in these tabs, which I haven't actually used any state here. So const tab set tab is equal to use state. And we could just set it as 0 by default. And I think like, hopefully this works. Let me rename this a little bit, because I think this will be more descriptive if I start this off as assignments, like so. And then here I could just dynamically show stuff. If tab is equal to assignments, then we can show the empty state wrapper for assignments. And then if tab is equal to students, we can show the empty state wrapper. I don't know, I never used it before, but I'm just kind of going off of what I think it might work. Tabs is not, what? Okay, hold on a second. Did I import the wrong thing? Yeah, their docs stink too. I need to get off this Daisy UI stuff. Boom, look at that. We got some tabs. Working good. Yeah, I really, okay, so the more I use Daisy UI, the more I want to get it out of my project. I'm just too lazy to go and like do that refactoring. But there's some weird stuff with it. Like if you looked at the code here, they don't tell you how to import it or what to import. And their example here with tabs, it just says use tab. But then if you look at the actual, like, this is how you had to do it. So I'm just not really impressed with this React Daisy UI stuff, and I haven't been impressed with Daisy UI either, because it like there's some accessibility issues that I'm just not happy with. And I complain about that every stream. I just haven't gone back to refactor that stuff away because it's just going to be a lot of tedious work. But yeah, we got some tabs going. It's pretty cool. I'm going to commit. I'm going to say adding tabs to the classroom page and add that stuff in, sync it up. All right, any last any questions, any final remarks? I've been streaming for almost 2 hours now, but I've added quite a lot of functionality today. I'm pretty happy with that. There's still a lot of stuff that's like messed up, like this little white bar at the bottom that's messed up. The styling could be improved, like the tabs are teeny compared to this title. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. All right, let's go back. Okay, I'm gonna put a note here about this closure counter thing. Let me see if I can just do that real quick. I know I said I'm gonna wrap this up, but like, I guess I'm kind of curious. what he meant by a closure counter. Every time this thing runs, I'd have to basically like I don't know. I have given the code below. Let me look down and see. Is learning plain CSS necessary? I would say yes. Even if you're using Tailwind, like I think you should learn plain CSS because like in my head, if I want to add some padding to something, I know padding is a CSS thing, which means that there's probably a P something in Tailwind. So yeah, you should probably learn CSS. Counter initial, let count equals 0. Return function, return count. So like I think the backend should be the one that's responsible for adding the ID of the student. Either that or the front end, you'd have to add some type of like when you do the tRPC call, which I guess would be somewhere here, and you get all the assignments. You'd have to take the assignments and then use a memo or something, and then like map over them and add a unique ID that will never change. And then from that point forward, you would do the sorting based on that as well, which could work. Let's see. Do I have to learn Node, Next, and all these new libraries? I feel like everyone uses a different stack and technologies grow and grow and grow. I mean, I would just learn what other companies are hiring for. Like, there's companies that hire for PHP, there's companies that hire for Ruby on Rails, probably. And then I would just see like where are most of the jobs? Because if you're interested in getting a job, then you probably want to learn the tech that's for that job. But for the most part, I mean, if you can just prove to your potential employer that you know how to code, and it doesn't really matter like what tech stack you know or not. Like if you understand what a package manager is, let's say you're a Python developer, you know what pip is, and you can explain pip and you have a really good understanding of pip. So when an employer is like, do you know what npm is? You could say, no, I haven't really used npm, but I know it's a package manager, and I've used pip, and I've used, you know, X, Y, and Z from pip, so I understand how package managers work. Or maybe even if you're using Java, you know what I mean? Like understanding the higher level concepts and being able to explain them, I think is good enough for a majority of, I would say, good companies. A dumb company might look at you and be like, oh, you don't have Node experience, I'm not going to hire you. A good company would be like, oh, you know how to write Go? Well, we're using Node, which is, you know, not Go, but it's still like a language. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but thank you. Thank you. I wish you an amazing, productive day and good mood. Appreciate that. Unless you're talking to someone else. Oh, you were talking to Ronak. Anyway, let's see. I've given the code below. Learning Tailwind from the get-go should be either bad or go. I personally know I would learn CSS. But that's just me. I don't think you should learn Tailwind from the get-go. I think you should learn some of the CSS and like how to like apply those attributes. Because remember, not every company uses Tailwind. There's tons of companies that use style components. There's tons of companies that use CSS modules. There's a lot of companies that use Sass. There's some companies that use CSS. Some use stylus. So if you don't know CSS, there's only a small portion of companies that use Tailwind, in my opinion. A lot of companies and projects do not use Tailwind. So if you don't know CSS, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. But I mean, you can still use Tailwind. Just make sure that you understand, if you hover over some of these things, what is the underlying thing that these things are giving. it's giving a display flex. If I go over here, where is my, like over here, hover over text to XL. Okay, this is just giving a font size of 1 rem and a line height. What is text center doing? It's doing text center center. So like understanding the underlying CSS I think is important because like I mentioned, there's a lot of companies who do not use Tailwind. Yeah, the tRPC thing, I think it just uses React Query under the hood. Like I have a React Query adapter, I believe. So it's everything that it's in React Query is going to be using with tRPC mutations and queries. I think Material UI is good. I mean, it has like all the components that you might need. I hear it might be a little bit hard to like customize if you have like a real team of designers, but I think it's fine. Should you keep up with a company with bad code practices? I personally wouldn't. Like, if the company doesn't seem like they care about code quality, like meaning unit testing, integration testing, linters, using some type of like prettier, doing code reviews, if they don't seem like they care about this stuff, I think you're in a position that's going to hinder your growth. I think you want to be at a company who really cares about code quality and like doing the right things. I would leave and find a company. If the company I'm interviewing with, if I ask them what's their code coverage or I ask them how many integration tests they do, and they say we don't test, I would probably just leave the interview right there. Like I'm not going to be on a team that doesn't test their code. But that's just my opinion. How do you get over ugly code? I often find myself refactoring working code because it doesn't look nice. I mean, it's good to refactor code. If the code looks ugly, that's like a red flag, right? You should probably refactor it and make it look nicer. I mean, sometimes you see code that looks ugly and you just want to leave it alone because you don't know like what it might break or how much effort it's going to be to change up. But I think it's good to try to make sure your code looks clean for the most part. I don't know what language that is. French? Italian? Bonjour? Are you using signals for state? No, I'm not. I'm just using uState and I think Zustan maybe? Or Jotai? I don't remember. Hey, how are you? I'm doing good. Let's see. Did you read the table sir.o comment? Like you get my idea. Yeah, I mean like I could let me go to assignments. I'll try it real quick just to kind of show you, but I think the idea is that like we need to basically bring in, I'm going to say derived assignments is equal to use memo. And then I'll say assignments.map assignment and index. And then I'm going to say return ... assignment index of IDX. And then the memo will be on assignments. All right, so this is kind of like what I would do. Actually, this one needs to be over here. So instead of looping over the assignments directly here, I would map over the derived assignments, and then I would have access to assignment.index. Okay. And now this would still work. We have assignment of 0. In fact, I'd probably add 1 to it. Now the reason I'm doing this is that like you need to take the original data that came from the backend, and I want to basically put it in a state where I'm just decorating it with an additional index here. So then if I were to do any type of sorting or whatever filtering, the index would stay the same and like it wouldn't change. So like if I were to sort this, the index would all stay the same, I believe. So that's kind of like what I would do. And I believe that's what you're kind of talking about in the chat, although I probably did it a little bit different from the way you're mentioning. But yeah, I would do something like this. But honestly, I think maybe even the backend should be responsible for setting the index. Like not even have the front end do this stuff, but Yeah, I'm not using Redux yet. I only like to bring in tooling when I feel like I really need the tooling. If I reach a point where I feel like I need Redux and like it's full on state management system, I would do that. But I would probably wait to reach for Redux until I know for a fact I need it to achieve what I'm trying to do. Let's see. How do you get started with testing? I've written tests, but always feel like I'm not testing the right things. Yeah, it takes a long time to get used to like testing the right things and understanding like what you need to test. I think the best thing is just do black box testing and just test the inputs and outputs of your functions. Um, so for example, like if you have a component here, well, testing components is hard. I had like a bunch of videos talking about MVC and testing a React testing library, but for the most part, like you just want to test a component in isolation. Like if I were to create an assignments component, you want to verify that certain things show up on the page, I guess. But for the most part, like on a more like larger company or a larger project or system, I would try to maybe even get some of the stuff out of the components and put them in separate, like separate your logic from your components so you can test your logic and not really worry about testing your components. Because if you create your components in a way that are like, it's really simple, there's not much testing that you have to do. Like the only logic you should have is like conditional show or hides, and that's about it. And then if you're using TypeScript, like it's hard to like write bugs when you know that you're passing in the wrong stuff. I don't know. I've talked about this before though. Thanks. I appreciate you liking the channel. Yeah, I try to break stuff down. Sometimes I feel like I talk too fast. But yeah, I try to like just explain everything I'm doing, why I'm doing it. I think describing why you're doing stuff is like the most important thing. Because like you can watch me write code, but if you don't see the reasons as to why I had stuff living in this component versus another component, like you're not really learning. You're just like watching someone do stuff. If you delete EG index 3, then 4 will be 3, 4. I'm not sure if you're talking to me. I mean, that is the idea. Like, I want to make it so if they were to, let's say you have like 10 assignments on a page, 10 assignments on a classroom, but you have a filter in the UI that needs to hide assignments that are related to JavaScript. But in your head, you still want to know, like, okay, that was assignment 3. Like, all the students know about assignment 3. Like, that's how they talk to each other. It's like, oh, have you finished assignment 3? You still want the assignment number to be consistent in the UI across all the pages, which is why I think I should probably just put all the assignment IDs in the backend instead. I think it makes more sense to just auto increment in the backend instead of doing this in the front end, which I might do later. I'm using the Material Community High Contrast theme. How fast should a software dev take to learn a new framework, language, or library? I don't know. That's such a broad question. Like, for example, if you asked me to learn Go, like that would probably take me months to feel like proficient at Go. I could probably learn enough within a week or two to like start writing some code. And I mean, within the first couple of days, I could probably build like a REST API using Go. I could go find examples. I can copy and paste them. I can dissect it and understand what the code's doing. But to be really proficient and really understand like the underlying lower level details of a language like Go, it's going to take months, if not more. I'm using SQLite right now with Prisma. Any project suggestions? I would probably just clone an existing like front end project, like try to make your own social media site, try to make your own Udemy, try to make your own, you name it. If you can't think of your own ideas, just try to like reproduce what someone else is doing. What did I change here? Oh, I added this memo thing. I might undo this. I think I'm going to do this in the backend instead, to be honest. Anyway, yeah, feel free to join my Discord. I don't know if the link's in the video description, but you can probably find it on one of my videos. Join my Discord. It's a community of people trying to learn how to code and help each other out. Stick around for my streams. I typically try to do them on Sunday morning, so be sure to press that bell icon for my channel, I guess, so you know when I'm streaming again. And I hope you guys enjoyed what I showed you today. We added a lot of good features to this little project. And again, if you wanted to kind of look at this code can be found here. So feel free to look through it. Again, this is like a work in progress, so there's a lot of things I want to clean up and change. But yeah, I think it's good enough to just kind of play around with and try to understand from. Anyway, hope you guys have a good day, and yeah, see you around.